Alright, let's see if this is working. I, I am live. The internet can totally see you now. Okay. Alright. Well, I guess here we go. Let's edit the basic info. Um, okay, let's do that. Was our save button on this thing? Alright, I guess not. And where... I guess it's not going to let me change optimizations here. Well, in any case, welcome. Thank you for being here. My name is Zach Ware, and to kind of like reintroduce what I'm doing here, because this is the first YouTube channel live stream that I'm doing. I am a professional community organizer as well as a communications researcher. I've been doing that kind of work for 10 years now. What you're seeing is what I hope is kind of a new chapter in a project that I've been doing called Transparent Zach. And what Transparent Zach has basically been a live streaming project, which, you know, there have been many people who have attempted live streaming projects in the past. But what may be different about this one is that as I was live streaming on social media, I very deeply practiced. I felt a calling, actually, as a person, to be brutally, totally honest about what I was thinking and feeling in real time. And so for better and for worse, I was doing this. It got pretty intense, as you can imagine, right? I went through some pretty powerful experiences. And the thing that I didn't really expect was that this became a meditation project, at least in major part. I never identified as a meditator before doing this work, but now I do. And it's kind of amazing how... beginner's mind being the state of finally being able to actually like meditate like regularly, being able to like come into the present now, not having to listen to discursive thoughts or feelings that are constantly pinging through your mind, because I was always chronically depressed for years. I mean, I remember from my earliest days in childhood I was depressed. And through adolescence, I was suicidally depressed. Here, I'm going to try adjusting the microphone a little bit because I think it might be too loud. Let's try that. Let's see if that... Okay, I think that's a little bit better. Yeah. All right, let's try that. And so another major component of this outside of meditation is my views on the future of our world, technologically speaking. In my analysis, by the end of my lifetime, at least, I'm currently 29 years old. We're going to be living in a world where automation is defining our daily lives constantly. And where the Internet of Things, that's a term that you can look up on Google if you're not familiar with that term, is going to make our world a transparent world, one where just There are cameras and sensors all over everything. And so, I mean, already we don't have privacy, right? Already multinational corporations know everything there really is to know about you, unless you're just totally disconnected from the internet, right? And that was a big part of what motivated me to just like try Transparent Zec, because I wanted to first like see what the corporations were saying, right? Like Google, Microsoft, all those guys who are using that data to design advertisements for us and make money off of us, right? That's what that's for. And I realize now that by living transparently, by being honest in the open about who I am, who I was, it ended up serving to be transformational, at least in my life. Maybe it won't work for you. Maybe it won't work for others. This is not like, I'm not here to like convince you of my method. It's basically an invitation to consider the possibilities of using what I now call cognitive transparency meditation. And so what am I going to do with this, right? I didn't just, basically systematically embarrass myself. I don't feel embarrassed, but I think there are a lot of people who would look at what I posted and be like, oh, that was so embarrassing. Oh, that was so horrifying. It's like, now I look at it, I'm like, okay. It just is. I'm not proud of it, and I'm not ashamed of it either, right? I feel like, though, from doing that, I was able to finally let go of things that were delusions, things that were egoistic, things that were selfish in my mind and body. I was able to let go of a lot of anxiety and finally just settle into the present moment. This life is really beautiful when you can just settle down, right? And just be here. Just being here. So now that we're here, what are we going to do? As a community organizer and as someone who cares very much about the future of automation, I hope, and maybe this won't work out, I don't know. It's worth trying, though, because Donald Trump is president and the world is dying. I'm willing to just try whatever, anything that might work, right? I want to try to design a modest vision for how to reorganize all of the existing technology that is available to us today to redesign community organizing software. Because today, community organizing software is actually pretty crappy. It's centered around, first of all, just running campaigns. I think that's kind of narrow-minded, right? Where you're like, okay, we need to go out, contact this list of people, make them do, sorry for hitting the microphone, XYZ things, raise this much money off of them, right? That was my life. That's the kind of stuff that I've been doing. I was spending basically my entire adult life doing. think the possibilities are community organizing software can encompass all aspects of our lives in a positive way, right? Not a monolithic way, but in a decentralized way, in a community-oriented way. I think instead of a future where we have these big nonprofit foundations, these big advocacy nonprofits, these big 501c4s, no, most of them aren't that big. But instead of having these professional teams that are out there constantly kind of nagging along their own little siloed issue, right? I think grassroots democracy is going to be about tutorializing every single little step that you need to take in order to continue on a path to revitalizing your community. And that's not just winning electoral campaigns for your candidate. That's not just raising money for your cause to save whatever. It needs to be community organizing needs to become holistic to every single part of our society. I think with the right community organizing software, you should be able to build small businesses. You should be able to, have religious and community life. You should be able to do everything that you do in life should be able to work off of your community organizing software, because that will inspire you to be more engaged in your community, right? That will make it user friendly to be engaged in your community. And so my idea is potluck. And potluck is about making it user-friendly to learn about and then execute every step of work in our reality. Now, what do I mean by that? An example of that could be you need to, plant some stuff at the urban farm, right? Well, what if you have like a group of friends who just got out of school at the local high school and they don't know anything about urban farming, right? But all they do know is that if they turn on Potluck on their smartphones, they can first watch a couple of YouTube videos about what work they're about to do that day at the urban farm, right? Maybe it'll take them like 15 minutes to watch. And then once they're done watching it, they can complete a few questions as like a little quiz to like verify, okay, you did watch the video, you comprehended what you watched. And then you get like a little badge on Potluck that says, I now know how to do basic planting, right? And then you can go to that urban farm or one of the urban farms in your community that are attached to Potluck, do the work, and then you get paid out, a basket of food. It's as simple as that. It's not time banking. And that's something I've always taken issue with. I think whenever people try to develop these decentralized solutions from a grassroots fashion, they try to put their ideology on top of the solution, on top of the software, and it starts bending it away from mass adoption. Potluck, I think, should really just be a simple all-in-one gig economy solution that would work for basically anything you'd want to plug into, right? And my intention is to try to develop it in an open source fashion that's a protocol that can then be reutilized, reprogrammed. I want it stolen. Not here to be in charge of anything. I just see the technological trends, and as an organizer, I want to make sure that organizing software meets up with those trends. And I think that community organizing is the best way to go for mass adoption for any software platform, right? Whereas if you look at like Lyft or Uber, they've succeeded as companies, but if you think about it, they have their users kind of like tunnel vision through a straw to only like be able to do these one or two things in reality. And that's what gets them stuck. That's what gets them stuck in cycles of poverty. Here, I'm going to try adjusting the microphone again, turn it down a little bit more. And by making them stuck, they realize that they don't have real flexibility to do anything else, right? But on POTLUCK, I would love there's a ride sharing module. You can complete these little trainings on how to do ride sharing. And these trainings are actually, they can be run by little micro companies on POTLUCK. All right. I'm starting to really just trail around here. I realize that. What we're here to do today, though, is to just continue like working on this white paper that I have developed. It's not really that developed. Because honestly, I've just been spending most of my time this year meditating and getting used to this new life of meditation and living just doing that. Reading all kinds of books, and I'm about to go on a week-long meditation retreat. So this is not a fast process. This process goes at the speed of human. And there will be a point, probably after this white paper is done, that campaign speed will kick up again for me, and I'll be out there, with business cards promoting this, networking with people, trying to exploit opportunities and build a team, right? The first step on that team is to develop an advisory board. And so if you're a serious motherfucker, and you may hear me swear right now and be like, oh, this guy's not serious, right? But trust me when I say that I am serious. But part of kind of participating in this project is, participating in the realities of how the millennial and Gen Z see professional dialogue, right? I think the polite society that we live in, where everybody like dots their I's and crosses their T's and has their P's and Q's, that's coming to an end. That's no longer going to be the lived reality. I think we're entering into a reality where things are going to move really fast, and people are just going to simply be people, right? They're not going to be professionals as we know it today. And my intention in facilitating an open source community is to be fully human, right? To be myself. Because I think that by being that, I'm modeling the part of the future of leadership. That's all there is to it. Just be yourself. Relax. If you don't like that I just swore on this live stream and think I'm unprofessional, then I would invite you to consider that's kind of a weird selfish delusion. It's just a word. And I'm sure there are other words you can think of your mind and try to apply that, rule to, and think, well, he's just being a privileged white man again. Like, We need to stop letting words, have such violent power over ourselves and our psyches. And there are a lot of reasons for that. And I can get into a whole argument about that. Basically, it's because, if you don't like hearing certain words, then your enemies are going to use automated systems to attack you with those words, right? And that's part of meditation, to make those words no longer have power over you, so that you can do the practical things of life. All right, let's get started. Now, while I do this, I'm going to play music. That music is going to channel through this live stream. And, you may not like the music. You may find it pretentious. You may find it whatever. Don't care. This live stream is not for your entertainment, and it's not for your comfort. Okay? It is for transparency's sake. It is for the sake of you seeing and realizing the limits of my competence. I have faith, not faith. At this point, I feel like I've seen enough example that being transparent is making me progressively smarter, faster. There will invariably be moments where things start getting intense, for me, like physically or psychologically, and my reaction to that may be to meditate. So just all of a sudden I might just start sitting and not doing anything or saying anything, right? That's me meditating, probably. Or being lost in discursive thought. One or the other. Doing this is not about doing things perfectly. In Buddhism, there's a concept of aggression and compassion. And as I continue to do this, I feel less aggressive and I feel more compassionate. Aggression is not practical. Aggression is not practical to the calming of human suffering. Ignorance, pride, shame are not practical to the ending or slowing of suffering. And impractical things are simply boring things. There's so much richness and joy in seeing the game of reality and playing with it in the now. and being on the path instead of being trapped in a mind that's constantly going, yes, no, maybe. Is this right? Oh, I don't know. It's not necessary. And you don't have to just listen to me about that. There are so many teachers who have mastered these concepts, and because of them, I feel I was able to navigate through this Transparent Zach project and get out of the other side without an aggressive, delusional self, though there is still aggression and there is still delusion, right? It continues to be a process. Meditation is a muscle. It's a now muscle that you develop in your brain. It's transformational to your mind and your body, both, because they're the same. They're totally connected together. It's currently 9:04 a.m. Pacific on July 2nd, 2018. July 3rd. Tomorrow is going to be my 10th anniversary of my first day of work on the Obama campaign in 2008. When I was was I 18 or 19? When I was 19 years old, I was the second youngest staffer in a staff of 200 in the state of Michigan. And on July 4th, 2018 was the day that I landed in Dearborn in Detroit, Michigan. And soon after that, I was assigned to organize Rochester Hills in Oakland County. And I had to make so many mistakes and grow in so many ways, and I had to continue doing that since then. Because all of us have a path to whether you could call it enlightenment or clearness of the mind, of feeling well, feeling happy. I feel well and happy doing this. And I don't feel like some extraordinary guy for doing this. Actually, quite the contrary. I'm an ordinary guy. And if you were to talk to Buddhists about this and Hindus about this, they would tell you that all as human beings have access to the same base operating system of being in the present moment and living there. And it may make you feel extraordinary. It may make you feel special. It may make you even feel like a god. But the reality is that millions of people live in the kind of strength and presence that I feel that I'm experiencing now. And I'm not sorry for kind of taking up this much time before starting to work on this white paper this morning. Because this is just another step in the Transparency Act path. Walking through this narrative. Because as, as some great teacher said, it's probably Trungpa Rinpoche, that the ego is like shoes that need to continue walking and wearing themselves out. You might see me jerking, and that's because for some people when you meditate, it's just, again, the mind-body connection that's building up, and it's like electricity, right? But it's not. Your nervous system is turning on. And that's an intense process. I started as a meditator from a place with a lot of cognitive awareness and very little body awareness. And as that body awareness continues to build and as my body continues to embody itself, right, you'll see those pulses. Now I'm stopping myself here, saying, is it necessary to really talk about these core principles now in this part of the introduction? I'm not sure about that. What is the strongest way of framing what potluck is right at the outset? And this isn't coming across as that to me, right? And this is an important part of drafting, right? It's just trying out an idea, and here in a transparent fashion on a live stream, you're literally seeing the creative process, right? I think this is the future of corporations. This is the future of how work will be done in our reality. Because if people start paying attention and watch this live stream, you could participate fully in this process. You can email me, chat me, all that stuff, and say, hey Zach, have you considered this? Have you considered that? Oh, check out this, check out that, right? And maybe I will. I would love it for people to come in and literally take over and be like, Zach, we're going to finish writing this white paper with you. And I would love to share that responsibility and that power, right? I want to get fired. That's my job here. That's my goal. Let's get transparent and Zach fired so that I can enjoy sweet retirement, right? I would love to just smoke weed and play video games all day long. Trust me. The reality is Donald Trump's the president and the planet is dying. And so I'm just trying here, right? Let's continue trying. How else can I continue this introduction? What else needs to be said? It's a good question. What else needs to be said here? What else needs to be said here? Well, I think the main value add of POTLUCK at the outset is gigifying politics, right? And tutorializing politics. And right now there's lots of tutorial on politics, right? But we don't really have gigafied software for politics yet. So, and this is about marrying the two together. At first, this kind of needs to go slow, right? It's going to be slow because this is meditation. And in Zen, one is trained to very directly build something, very directly solve a problem. To do so out of the ambiguity of the moment and reality, right? That does not mean doing it quickly, though. That means doing it intentionally and with awareness. And it's possible that maybe 3 months from now, the speed of this work will go much faster, right? As this mental muscle continues to work itself out, right? You notice my eyes are fluttering. And there's science behind that, right? This isn't like some pathological thing necessarily. This is actually quite normal in meditation. In fact, there was a 2014 study done by researchers in Japan where they realized that, you know, your brain actually gleans a big benefit from closing your eyes. And that benefit has to do with processing information. It has to do with your cognitive load. It's not just to keep your eyes moist. And so in particularly, intense or meditative moments, it's not unusual to have the fluttering of the eyes. My eyes flutter a lot. Okay. My eyes flutter a lot. And you just gotta let it go. You can't think about it. If you do think about it, it's taking you out of the present moment, right? Ugh. Hmm. Hmm. All right, I'm going to go ahead and reread the introduction again. Drink some coffee. This is so awesome. It's like even if I don't accomplish anything else today, that's fine. This is all bonus points. It's all basically good. I think I will be accomplishing some things today. And what is accomplishment? Right? What is accomplishment in this world at this point? What can you accomplish? What can you do? Really? Think about it. I'm sure you've already felt lost, feeling like there isn't much that you could do, right? What can you do? Oh, I'm gonna vote. Oh, I'm gonna do this. Oh, I'm gonna do that. Oh, I'm gonna, okay. All right. Good. I'm glad you're driven, right? Or maybe you don't feel driven. You're like, oh, God. That's also reality. Because reality is really fucked up. Really violent. Lots of suffering. in order to have an opportunity, in my view, in order to have an opportunity to change this reality for the better, one must meditate. And by that I don't mean you need to like sit on a cushion and go om and not think about anything. Sitting meditation is just one aspect of meditation, right? This is meditation right now. I'll keep repeating that. Live streaming this shit because I care about this, right? I want POTLUCK to actually happen. I don't want to sabotage this. I'm not just like some loose cannon or whatever, though that may sound counterintuitive to the fact that I keep it real from my perspective at all times. Right? I keep it real from my perspective not to be selfish, but to actually be compassionate. I keep it real from my perspective because I want to be totally vulnerable and totally honest with you. Right? I want to be totally honest, totally vulnerable with you. I trust that that will make me progressively more compassionate, more vulnerable, more present. I think it already has in many, many ways. I don't need to continue lecturing. I don't need to continue repeating myself. Right? I say this, I feel like I'm settling down again. Settling down into this work and wanting to do this work. Feeling sleepy. I'm feeling that because, again, this is like a mental muscle that's building. It's a mental muscle that will take time to grow and continue to develop. I've actually been kind of debating with myself about this framing, right, for the project. But I think this is kind of an important concept to at least consider. Because, and I'm going to talk through it for a minute here and see if that helps me make a little decision. So, going from the ask to a path, right now, the whole nonprofit sector is based off of these professionalized, salaried teams that are going out there in the world trying to ask citizens to do things, right? And that's not very efficient. Um, it's just not efficient because it depends on those staff people making the right relationship, making the right ask, having the right conversation, kind of like all the pieces puzzling together. And it's kind of weird, because it ends up becoming numbers games. It ends up becoming, um, you know, kind of like, regular people feel like they have to sacrifice themselves in order to be involved in politics, and they don't see the immediate economic output of doing so, right? That's something that I really want to see changed. Instead of like, we want to ask you to make this sacrifice for the betterment of our community and world, to instead a straightforward path where it's like, okay, if you do this, this, and this, we get this, right? And have that be something that you actually can discover yourself, right? You can go on a path of learning about the world, learning about reality, learning about your communities, and building relationships, and you discover for yourself the benefits of doing that work, right? Because again, the real intention here is it's not just to develop, community organizing software. And that's the thing that's probably going to be really exciting for a lot of people about this project, is that it's going to make it really user friendly, and it's going to be cheap to basically like automate your political campaign with a virtual campaign manager. I mean, we could design an AI that replaces the work that guys like me used to do, right? And you can start doing it. Then you can just get to the work that the AI can't do, basically. That's the whole goal here, is to get you oriented and going through all the little tutorials, steps, to be able to use AI and use robotics, first in community organizing using AI, and then in every other facet of your life. Or maybe you start a small business that's not based on artificial intelligence at first. But by using this software, it will make it easier down the road for you to use automation as a tool. And that's primarily through teaching people workflows, right? You tutorialize workflows step by step, and then humans can complete the workflow steps that they need to complete. And as those steps get automated, you could just transition it over to the computer. Then there's less work you have to do for the same outputs, the same services, the same products. That's the basis of the automation revolution. I think it's possible to make it user-friendly, to embody that transition. There's no question that there are tons of people already thinking about this exact stuff that I'm thinking about right now, right? It's about bringing it into the open source realm. I'm going to have some private corporation try to centrally siphon off money for this thing. Not viable. Not going to happen. That's just not the reality we're entering into. We're not going to have a lift for robots. That we will. But that's not going to be like the centralized protocol that economy is going to run on. Right? It's going to be a decentralized protocol that's open source, like open whisper systems. Right? having discursive thoughts going through my mind right now. Letting it pass. Even if I have to, you know, let my, even if I have to just meditate this whole time and nothing else happens, that's fine. That's still progress, right? I'm still getting used to doing this. I'll try to take care to mute the microphone when I move around so it doesn't generate too much noise. All right. I'm wondering if in this place we can like, put on an image of a yard like right here. I'm not a graphics designer, right? And that's part of the challenge with this. Oh, so it's kind of a debate about, yeah, whether to, just go on paint right now and make a basic illustration of a yard, whether that's actually useful right now, or um, uh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I do want to create images. Okay. Company. She wants to build a company. She wants to roast almonds. Let's change it to Ghana because they actually grow almonds there. Ghana to build an almond roasting company. Yeah. Okay. And creates a yard. Well, let's write this out. So she boots up Potluck on her smartphone and creates a yard. And by the way, like, we're assuming right now that like this teenager, like maybe like a middle class teenager, right? She has a smartphone. Smartphones are getting super cheap. Like even the global impoverished are owning smartphones now, right? So we're assuming in this example that she has smartphone. She has access to electricity and basic internet, right? For the purposes of this example, she does not need high speed internet, right? Because all Potluck is doing in this example is tutorializing step by step what she needs to do to grow and roast almonds. Actually, you know what? Let's simplify it even more for people and not get into almond roasting, and just do an almond growing operation. All right. To establish, let's do establish. Well, no, we'll leave it at build. And creates a yard. And she could label the yard. She could do a lot of things to like customize it and play with it. She could like, even have like little pets in her yard and stuff like that. It's basically just a desktop. It's something you could do whatever you want with, right? It's not restricted. And eventually, there will be levels like above yards. You could say neighborhoods and cities and like whatever. We can create different levels in Potluck to expand the interface and expand its capabilities. And there'll be lots of people who have lots of ideas about how to do that, right? But right now we're talking about gig economy. So she boots up Potluck on her smartphone and creates a yard. Let's say, oh wait, my bad. I didn't mean to say almonds. I meant to say cashews. And change a cashew growing operation. She boots up Potluck on her smartphone and creates a yard. Operation Cashew is a Ghana-based NGO nonprofit established to We don't need to give the teenager a name. Do we? Okay. Let's look up real quick. Female names in Ghana. Okay, let's do Ajoba. She boots up Potluck on her smartphone. She boots up Potluck on her smartphone and creates the garden. To help young Ghanaians spelled that wrong. Like about Ajoba. And the reason I'm using Ghana as an example here is because my partner did a Peace Corps stint in Ghana, where she educated local farmers on cashew growing practices, right? And so it'll actually be easy for me to, build on this and actually ask, Tierra questions about cashew growing, and that'll help me actually expand this real life example more effectively, I think. All right, so Operation Cashew is a Ghana-based nonprofit established to help young Ghanaians like Ajoba grow cashew crops. On the Potluck platform, on Potluck, let's actually change Operation Cashew's name. Let's say, what's like a good, one word name to give them? We don't need to use their name a lot in this example. All right, on Potluck, Operation Cashew has posted on Potluck's kind of like the idea of just calling it Marketplace of Ideas for now. Other people will have other ideas of what to call Potluck's Marketplace, but that's just what it is for me right now. All right, on Potluck's Marketplace of Ideas, Operation Cashew has posted for free of cost, a series of farming workflows of flows that teach how to grow cashews. Better yet, as a ledger and organizer to manage the operation, their operations. Grow cashews and manage their operations. All right. Sorry. All right, in this example, Ajoba um, downloads. Let's see. Um, how would Operation Cashew organize this? So I mentioned there'd be different kind of like workflow regimes available depending on your individual situation as a cashew farmer. But perhaps they really just have like one master workflow that then like builds in modules into different ways of doing your farming, right? Um, Okay, and we're going to say, yard with some example tables, servings. All right. And let's see here. All right, so she downloads the workflows into her personal yard. Then, um, now Ajoba can begin the path to cashew growing. And kind of the idea with doing tutorialized steps is to not just do trainings for training's sake, but that you really it's like ultimate on the job training. And in my view, I think that's what the future is. You can't it's like you can't just like go to a school and study for 3 or 4 years and then you can now do the job that you're supposed to do. That's not the reality, because the automation revolution is going to go so fast that people are going to constantly be learning and doing and relearning and redoing and over again every month or week. And so I think companies in the future are going to you know, basically everybody's going to be doing on-the-job training constantly, right? Because reality is going to be changing constantly. The reality of what work is being done and how that work is being done is always going to be changing. And so if you're not organizing your companies, if you're not organizing your economics into like micro jobs, micro gigs, and steps for people to complete, then you're not competitive. You're just not competitive, right? And so, you know, this is about, again, giving people the power to compete in this gig economy in real time. And I want that I mean, I guess I still identify as a socialist. You know, I want people to be able to realize worker and community ownership, to not depend on these big multinational corporations to render goods and services in reality, but instead to be able to do it themselves and do it together as cooperatives and partnerships. All right, so now Joba can begin the path to cashew growing. Let's get rid of this other stuff. I think there's a lot of stuff down there that I'm going to end up deleting. Each step in this workflow, in these workflows, have corresponding video and articles Joba and her co-workers step by step. As she completes these tasks, she earns certification she earns certifications from Operation Cashew. As she completes these trainings, and passes micro-examinations, she earns micro-certifications from Operation Cashew. Those things. All right, and we got, let's say, a certifications page. All right. names. Let's try a boy's name. Adja. A day. Brother a day. tilt the screen. And tilt the camera too. All right, there we go. Okay, so I think it's good to like have the economic example start first, and then we can get into a good concrete community organizing example, which might be a bit more complex. I'm starting to get hungry. I'm debating on whether to eat now. Let's go ahead and check the live stream. Wow, that picture looks pretty grainy. I wonder, jeez. Let's go ahead and check the live stream. Wow, that picture looks pretty grainy. I wonder, I hope people have been able to actually watch this and like read what's going on the screen. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the stream and see what's going on YouTube. I hope live streaming can be the deal. It's possible that I may just have to record work days and then upload them, and that's okay too, I guess. We'll see what we can do. All right, thank you so much. Take care.